As far as I am concerned, all of you are aware that my name is Rajni Ranjan, and I will be taking your sessions on managerial economics to give a glimpse of who am I and what I am doing. My entire schooling and all has been done in Rajasthan. After that, getting married and coming to Mumbai. It has been 11 years in Mumbai that I've stayed here. My husband is working with Oracle. And basically, teaching economics is my passion. And the entire effort towards economics will be to make the subject much more easier, much more interesting, so that all of you are able to connect to the subject, because most of you will not be having any idea about what this subject is all about. Of course, we hear great stories in newspapers about economics and all. I have, as far as my background, academic background is concerned, I have done my MBA and MA economics, and that is what is who I am. Anything you will like to know about me before I start off? Okay. So yes, anybody who would like to ask any questions regarding myself, I'm ready to answer. And in 1 minute time, we are going to start off the session. That is all about managerial economics. So to talk about managerial economics, as I've already discussed this, that it is something which is a widespread subject, which is discussed in public places, which is which is being there in newspaper, so on and so forth. What is your understanding about economics? I mean, most of you, as I can see, you all have technical backgrounds. I like to know what is your understanding about economics. What do you think economics as a subject is? What is it all about? This is very important for all of us, because whatever subject we start off, we should understand at least or we should have some perception about the subject. Okay, so Ashim Jain says it is about supply and demand. Okay, economics is all about supply and demand. Okay, it gives us a financial understanding. Okay, demand and supply. What all other views about economics? I like to have it first. Okay, so I think most of you think that economics as a subject is all about demand and supply. Let me start from this note, that economics is not only about demand and supply, it is much, much more than that. It is a subject which is related to a conceptual base. Now, that concept that works behind economics is going to be the first portion of my session today, where I'm going to discuss what economics is all about, what all is studied under economics, and then we will graduate to some basic concepts that are used in economics. And then today's session, I'll introduce you to the topics of demand also. Okay, so to start off with the conceptual part of what economics is all about, as you all can see on the slide that is being displayed, we will be covering up the portion which says which has its name as managerial economics. So the first thing that I like to ask you, what is the difference between a good and a service? I mean, we'll start off our conversation with goods and services. What is the basic underlying difference between goods and services? That is my first question to all of you. With this, we are going to start off our session. Yes. What is a good and what is a service? my question to everybody, I like to see it in chat boxes. What is a good and what is a service? What is the basic difference between the two? Okay, goods are consumable. What about services? Okay, goods are tangible but services are intangible products. Absolutely correct. I think all of us are aware of the difference between what is a good and what is a service. Now if I give you 1 minute time to write down how many goods and services you use in a day, can you just write few goods and few services that in 1 minute's time that you use in one day time? I mean, services are, all of us understand insurance services, banking services, education is a service in itself. Services are intangible, whereas goods are tangible products that we use. Okay, so I'm asking you in your notebooks to write about how many goods and services that you use in one day time. Goods are tangible, services are intangible. We cannot see the services. I have asked you to write down how many goods and services you use in one day time, which can include your toothbrushes, your specs, your watch, your mobile, your computers, everything that you use. Of course, there are lot many FMCG products, absolutely correct. Newspaper, house cleaning that you receive is a service, absolutely correct, Amit. Okay, so I think all of us have so many things to write about when we think about the goods and services that we use in one day time. Okay, now think about 1 billion population of India and think about the magnitude of goods and services that are required by 1 billion population of India. What according to you is the size of the goods and services that is to be produced and supplied in Indian markets? What do you think is the size? What do you think is the size of goods and services that is required to serve the population of India? Is it huge, 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 or is it something which is which can be easily taken care of, or is it huge, huge, huge? Huge. It is actually huge. If we think about, say, the population of India and its requirement of goods and services, it is a huge quantity that we are thinking of. Okay, and that is where we will talk about something that is required to produce these goods and services. Of course, when we talk about the nation as a whole, I will first stick to a nation as a whole. Then if we have to see that these goods and services, yes, these goods and services need to be produced, then we require in India some resources to produce these goods and services. Okay, now to produce these goods and services in economics, these resources have been classified broadly into four basic resources, as you can see on the slide. The second point, which says first is the natural resource, second is the human resource, third is the capital, fourth is the entrepreneurship. Okay, now as far as natural resources are concerned, these are all the natural resources which are required in a nation to produce goods and services. These natural resources include rivers, include water, include the forest from where the wood comes in, it includes the mines, the actual land area which is covered for manufacturing processes, the entire natural resources. oil fields, petroleum, and other basic minerals, coal mines. All these comprise of the natural resource of a nation, which are being used for the production of goods and services. Okay, the second portion that is discussed on the slide is a human resource. Of course, all of us can connect to it. It is all about the human uh, human capital in a nation, which is actually involved in the business processes, which is actually providing its services to produce goods and services. So two resources are very clear to us. The next resource for a nation is the capital that it uses to produce goods and services. Now if I ask you this question, what is capital according to you? Because this is one such word that which we that is a very common sort of a word that we use in our day to day activities when we are discussing some points and all. So what is capital according to you? I like to hear from you guys. What is capital according to you? Okay, it is money, it is financial standing. What about others? Okay, money. What does capital mean? Financial resources, stock, liquid funds, money. Okay, so most of us have this common ideas in our minds that capital is nothing but something which is directly related to money, which is directly related to finances, and something which is, of course, a very basic for any organization, for any business process to work for. All of you are absolutely correct. Of course, money is the biggest asset when we talk about in terms of a of an organization. But here we come back to our discussion where we are taking view of a nation as a whole, because I started off with 1 billion population of India, the amount of goods and services that is being required by 1 billion population, so on and so forth. So for me, if I have to talk about capital, I will say anything that creates more money is capital for me. Okay, now anything means, for example, suppose there is a woodcutter and he is using a tool which he uses for cutting trees, then that tool is a capital for that woodcutter. Okay, so anything that creates more money, it can be in terms of machines, it can be in terms of any other unit, in terms of any other item which is capable of creating more money, is capital for us. But of course, if we are talking about a woodcutter's tool, we can always say, if that tool is 1000 rupees, then we can say, if the price of that tool is 1000 rupees, we can say the capital is 1000 rupees. Okay, so most of these capital word that is used, the literal meaning is money that is required to carry out any venture, as being written by Mr. Shivlal Gupta. So capital is anything in economics, it is anything that creates more money. Now it is the last resource, which is according to me the most important resource of a nation. It is the class, the entrepreneurs, who are, I hope all of you understand what is the meaning of entrepreneurs. I hope all of you understand this. It is this class of the society which combines the first three resources and produces goods and services that is required to be made available in the markets of a nation as a whole. Okay, and let me tell you, I have had read a lot about it, and it is the nations which had more enterprising people. these nations have developed more. The reason being, entrepreneurs are those people who like to take risk, who start off a new venture. They come up with new ideas, a new product in the market to deal with. So it is the enterprising class of a nation. The people, whether they are interested in taking risk, coming up with new ideas, new products, new ventures, that leads to better tapping of the first three resources, that is the natural, human and capital, and that leads to maybe more generation of goods and services in a nation. Okay, now that is where the economics as a subject came in, because when we talk about this, that goods and services are required to be produced, when we talk about the resources that are required to be produced, we cannot say that the resources that are available in a nation are uh, you know unlimited. Okay, what is your idea? Do you think that these resources that we have underlined, these four broad resources for a nation, are scarce or they are unlimited? What is your idea about it? They are limited. What about others? What is your idea? Do you think these resources are unlimited? Of course, all of us will say these resources are limited, and that is where the economics as a subject came into picture. That is where the economics starts. We say that resources that are required to produce goods and services are scarce in nature, whereas the society has human beings, and these human beings have unlimited desires, unlimited aspirations, and people are rational. That is why what needs to be done in a society is that the resources which are scarce in nature have to be utilized in the best possible manner, in order to bring out what? In order to bring out the maximum satisfaction for the society. Okay, so that is where economics started, where it said it was taken forward that resources are scarce in nature, and that is why these resources have to be used in the best possible extent, what we term as optimized manner, in order to bring about maximum satisfaction, maximum welfare in the society. Is it clear? Is it clear, everybody, or you have any doubts about what I have talked about till now? Everybody, I like everybody to be a part of the class, otherwise it might become slightly boring for you if you're not active in the class. Okay, so that's great. I'm getting good answers, good replies. It is a very simple concept, of course. So we have understood the concept of economics by now for a nation as a whole, where we say that resources are scarce. That is why these resources need to be used in the best possible manner. And let me tell you, there are many economics definition which actually revolve around this concept. Now I ask you that when we talk about a nation, scarce resources, it is understood. Do you think the same concept of scarcity of resources and best utilization of resources can also be applied to an individual? I mean, if we talk about, let us say ourselves, let us say us as human beings, do you think the same fundamental of resources, scarcity and optimum utilization can apply to all of us? So to start off with, let us talk about the resources as individuals that we have. What all are the resources that we have as individuals? Like for example, if I say Rajni Ranjan, okay, what all the resources that I have as a person? Yeah, we do budgeting. Absolutely correct, Nishan. I like to first discuss the resources that we have as individuals. My question is, as individuals, you all say that the fundamental applies that we all have resources. Yes, Amit, it is the salary that we earn, that is our resource. If we have any house or any assets that we have, like gold and others, that is our resource. Okay, then our intellectual capital that we have is also one of our resources, because it helps us in producing more goods and services. It helps us in earning more income and more money. Okay, time is one of the biggest resource for those who are working, because if they are able to manage the time, it is scarce in nature, and you have to use your time in the best possible manner. Very good answer, Mr. Rahman. So we say, as individuals, we have our salaries, we have our health, our education, our skills, our family, our assets, which are very explicit. These are all our resources. Okay, and we feel whatever salary we are earning is yes, I'm getting very good replies, very nice. These resources, of course, if we slightly go in depth, we will observe that these resources for all of us are scarce in nature. We will always want more money, we will always want better health, we will always want to be more wise than what we are, of course. So all these resources that we have as individuals are scarce in nature, and what we are supposed to do is, we are supposed to use these resources in the best possible manner, in an optimum manner, and bring the aim and objective is to bring about satisfaction to ourselves. Am I right? Am I right? So our economic fundamental is to use our resources in the best possible manner to bring about and consume goods and services in such a fashion so that we bring satisfaction to our lives. Okay, we we are gain maximizers. We want the maximum satisfaction levels to for ourselves. Am I right? So we say economics as a fundamental applies can apply to a nation as a whole. Economics as a fundamental can apply to an individual self. Now let us talk about, do you think economics as a fundamental can also apply to an organization? What is your idea? If yes, how? Yes, those who are not able to listen to me, please check your network. Now, my question was, do you think economics as a fundamental can also apply to an organization? Whereas, if we talk about, say, an organization also has its inputs, which are its resources. Of course, these include production capacities, people, technology, working capital, raw material that is required, the machinery, everything. I mean, there we bring forth the inputs that are required by organizations, human resource, of course, and skill sets of human resource. All these inputs that an organization uses are also scarce in nature. Okay, they are available, but there is a scarcity for the organization, which can be in terms of capital mostly. Okay, that is where we can say that, you know if we talk about an organization or a firm level, economics as a fundamental also applies there. Okay, now what is an economic sense for a manager? I mean, if we talk about, say, business decision makers in an organization, okay, or the upper management people, what is economic sense for them? What makes economic sense for them? What about others? Are you able to? Okay, maximum utilization of what? Maximum, is it only managing people that can lead to economic sense, or is it about using all the resources in an optimum fashion? Is it only about the human resource, or you think all the inputs that are required in an organization should be optimally used? If there is a voice, if my voice is breaking, please, I'll request all of you to check your nets, because as far as I am concerned, my checking is being done at the Ghaziabad center. So if any technical problem, they will let me know. As far as I am concerned, there is no technical problem as of now. Okay. So okay, so we can say an organization, see, we are only discussing here the economic sense. We are not talking about what organizations do. I'm only talking about what economics works behind an organization. The economics is that whatever available resources are there for the organization, which it has to use it to produce goods or services, these should be utilized in the best possible manner in order to bring maximum profit to the organization, where the objective is totally different, wherein the organizations look forward to better and optimum utilization of resources in order to ensure maximum productivity, which can ensure optimum state of profits being uh, you know uh, mm, profits uh, being there for the organization. So as far as economic fundamentals are concerned, we can say economics as a fundamental can apply to a nation, it can apply to an individual, it can apply to a business unit. That is where economics as a subject has been divided into two broad studies, and these broad studies are, the first part is microeconomics and the second part is macroeconomics. Before coming to what is micro and macroeconomics, I'll give you just maybe 30 seconds to just read this slide which has been displayed in front of you, which says what is scarcity. It means that the society has limited resources and therefore cannot produce all the goods and services the people wish to, and so economics is the study of how society manages its scarce resources. That is the most common definition that you will find for economics as a subject. Now we will go to uh, you know uh, go to the bifurcation, where we'll say, not the bifurcation, maybe the subdivision, where we'll talk about economics is divided into two two parts. First is microeconomics and second is macroeconomics. So there are two parts of economics, micro and macro, which have been taken forward by various economists. The first part, that is microeconomics, it says is the study of economic behavior of the individual consumer. That is what I talked about, individual human beings and producer, and we study in that some individual economic variables that I'll talk about later on, production, pricing and other things. So microeconomics is that part of economics, in general we can say, which studies individual human beings, that is individual consumer, individual organization, that can be any firm which is either producing good or service, and industry. Okay, now if I ask you the difference between industry and an organization, can you give me the difference between an industry and a firm? I mean, how do we define these two terms, industry and a firm? What is industry and what is a firm? Okay, yes, Vineet, to a very great extent. Industry is domain specific. See, uh, organizations or firms which are producing same kinds of goods, when combined together uh, in a nation, they are termed as industry. For example, if I talk about, say, textile industry, then textile industry comprises of all the firms which are into the production of textiles in India. That is basically the difference between a firm and an industry. To talk about, say, the industries, there are many industries that have been specified in Indian subcontinent. For example, entertainment industry, automobile industry, then we have other textile, as I already told you, then oil and petroleum industry. So there are so many industries. So one industry comprises of firms which are producing similar products. Okay, so that is the difference between a firm and an industry. So when we study a particular industry also, that is also part of microeconomics. So in microeconomics we can study the economics of human beings, we can study the economics of an individual firm, or we can study the economics of an individual industry as a whole. Just to tell you that some of us say that some big conglomerates like Tata's and Reliance are also known as industry, like we say Reliance Industries or Tata Industries. Of course, that is not incorrect. These are big conglomerates which are producing diversified products, and because of their mere size, they are known as industries. But technically and conceptually speaking, if we talk about, say, an industry, it is the combined or the integration of all the similar firms which are producing similar products, which we term as industry.